Good day, I am Carlos, a trainer with SAS Australia. This is one of a series of videos from a webinar I delivered a while ago on how to take your visual analytics reports to the next level. I hope you enjoy them. It's also important to craft your data story. The report should focus on telling a single data story. That means, what's the main idea? Do you want to persuade your audience for a particular point? Do you want to be presenting some facts, doing some status updates, or something else? Then once you have the main idea of your report, you want to organize your thoughts, write your overall report goal in 1 to 3 sentences. For example, I want to show the daily progress metrics, and employees will check the report multiple times a day. Then you might want to break down your goal into sub-goals or key points. This information will determine your content. What message do you want to communicate on each different pages? While I'm thinking of the message, I'm also thinking on how I'm going to lay my report out. And then identify the highlights. Maybe someone that's accessing the report has a very limited time to look through the entire report. So just make sure you highlight these bits that make the main message. And then also please remember, your perspective might be different from the audience perspective. With this in mind, then tell a story. Storytelling helps your audience learn and absorb the information. What does it mean, tell a story? Hear that a lot. Well, basically, the story of your report is the communication of your primary objective and your sub-goals. What you got in the previous step, that's what you're going to communicate here. Ensure the report tells only a single story. So each page or each different section of the report should support the main overall story. It should not communicate different messages. And finally, decide whether you want to control the movement or you want to leave full control on the end users or somewhere in the middle. Is there a specific order you want the pages to be viewed, and that will lead towards the way you set the navigation in the report? Maybe you want to include an introduction, a main point, and a conclusion, or maybe you want to provide some information, maybe some details, maybe both of them, or just have links and let the audience control that navigation. All of that as part of the planning of the report. And then once you have all of this, it's finally time to do a sketch of the report. You use the primary objectives and the sub-goals to draft an outline and a table or contents, or both of them, or one or the other. Write 1-sentence statement for each main page of the report that guides you or that gives you what message you want to convey on each of the different pages. Always remembering to keep the audience and the story in mind when building the report. So this means at this stage, you should also start thinking about and planning about accessibility. For example, you can plan to add a table representation for each graph to better enable viewers to see specific values. Additional details or things you might think about when building this draft. First step, still very valid and still very relevant, sketch on paper. Sketch on paper the main point of the story. Creating the paper sketch enables you to visualize the story without being distracted by the software. How does the sketch go? Well, your main point might be split into 2 or 3 pages. Copy 1 sentence of the statement at the top of each of these sketch. Then consider which data items you want to use to illustrate the story. Draw some placeholders for them, and then think of the interactions between them and sketch them with arrows between them. Once you have these boxes on each page, sketch the visualizations, select the type of chart or table that you might want. Think about which is the best object to communicate your points, so you might need to select a different one. And then once you have this, you have enough to build your first draft. And then, of course, after you have your first draft, request feedback and iterate. So high level from idea to your first draft, and then just keep iterating on that.